Hello and welcome to the 50-cent tour of Tuesday, May 7th, 2013. And hey, we made it through May 6th without any evidence of a ring of fire. So thanks to any white knights, white hats who prevented that from happening. And thanks to God for hearing our prayers and not letting us have any nuclear explosions. And if that was not true, no blood, no foul, because we did not let it be turned to fear, but to faith in asking God for help. So we got that going for us. Please find a seat on the Liberty Bus, and we will begin our tour of the day. Activists plan open carry march on Washington on July 4th. This has created some controversy in the liberty community, as you might imagine. People are kind of divided between this is dangerous and we should not attempt it, and other people say, no, this is our right, this is what America's all about. We shall see what happens. We don't, nobody wants to be the first one to fire a shot, but there is concern, and I think I've mentioned articles about it, that, well, Benjamin Fulford stated in his blog yesterday that the issues that we have with the U.S. government that's in control currently is that they are not listening to the people anyway. That they are kind of run away, they are not constitutional, they are not behaving in a lawful fashion, and therefore some other considerations need to be made. I don't know what will happen. I have not yet watched this video, and to be completely honest, I'm not 100% convinced that this man is the real deal. I have noticed lately that there have been websites, people, various things raised up, and as they begin, they are great, they have a ring of truth, they write or speak about topics that everyone wants to hear. And then at a certain point, the whole focus is shifted, and I think that there's a lot of that going on to confuse us and to get us on the wrong track, if possible. That's why we need to keep asking questions. And could Lieutenant Colonel Roy Potter be one of those guys? Sure, he could. Could Adam Kokesh, who is organizing the March on Washington, be one of those guys? Sure, he could. We just really need to exercise our discernment and try to find some kind of consensus as a large group as to what is effective, what's beneficial, and really, if we're sensitive, what is God saying? What direction is God giving? And the Bible does promise that if you ask for guidance, you'll be given guidance. So there it is. Now, some people may think that I have begun on a more broad platform and narrowed into more of a faith platform, but that's really not true, because I am a person of faith, and my context for looking at all that I look at on the tour, my frame of reference is my faith. And I try to consider possibilities that are outside of my paradigm. But, we all have a worldview, and I can be open to having my worldview changed, but I still function out of my worldview. So my worldview is, this guy seems like the real deal, seems like a good, solid man, seems like a white hat or a white knight. But I think we all need to just continue to be cautious and not listen to just any one voice. Clinton sought end run around Counterterrorism Bureau on night of Benghazi attack, witness will say. This is all coming down the pike. Will we find out the truth? Who knows, but we can hope that the truth will come out. Is this going to help us? Really? And there's been so much evidence that's come out about Fast and Furious, about birth certificates, social security numbers, and other levels of crime that Obama has participated in. There's now an issue that he shouldn't have even. There was ballot fraud in the election, and so this is all very, very difficult to use any of these issues to move toward impeachment just because everybody seems to be bought and paid for. And that's why I am watching this with some interest. But even if the truth comes out and it's very damning, I don't really expect things to change a whole lot, because the way the government is established right now, they're doing what they want. They're not basing their processes on law. They are deciding what they want to do and then finding reasons to do it, as opposed to trying to determine what the right thing to do is according to the Constitution. And that's why Fulford wrote about the military stepping in. I'm guessing that's why Adam Kokesh is planning a march on Washington, because the standard channels for accomplishing things in this government, in this country through government, are failing. Change is not, there's some change, but they're not listening to the people. And one of the things that made me aware of what is going on with our government was the banker bailout in 2008, when public opinion was running very powerfully. Not just public opinion, people who were actually calling Congress and telling them they did not want the banker bailout. I think it might have been 90%. But the banker bailout passed anyway. So they do as they will, not according to law. Defense against the psychopath in government, finance, and business. I think, on a personal level, the great defense is the Natural News article that I had last week, determining whether someone is empowering or controlling. The idiot box, fear is big business. Now, I have 3 articles on the tour today from the Vatican Project. They are all quite weighty, and this one is not an exception. It considers the effect that television has had on people in getting us to live in fear, and it's been very effective. And there's one paragraph that I want to hope that I'm not making you dizzy by scrolling down. Just want to read this paragraph. Commercials are still the worst part of television programming, and I can never stress this enough. TV attacks you, and this is how they do it. Every 5 minutes, a commercial break is ask your doctor ads and other things to make you feel inferior unless you buy this or that. Then in the middle is McDonald's for lunch, and so on. There's just this constant eroding. We were talking the other night, because we watch Netflix a lot, and sometimes we'll even look for a high quality television program, and there's some great, amazing BBC ones, there's some rather good American ones, but with the commercials taken out, it doesn't do the same thing to your mind. We were saying how the TV shows, because you can tell where the commercial breaks were intended to be, usually. The TV shows are the way it happens, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, but oftentimes there'll be a suspenseful moment shortly before a commercial, and you'll kind of be wondering, okay, what's going to happen next? And then the commercial comes in and it messes with your head, because you're looking for a situation in the program to resolve, and then you get a commercial. And I'm sure that, even though I don't know if individual TV shows are written to create that kind of suspense right before a commercial, I'm sure the idea has been considered by the people who craft television and use it as a mind control tool. Just to be aware. Government lab reveals it has operated quantum internet for over 2 years. This is a very secure, private kind of system. Perfectly secure communication based on the powerful laws of quantum mechanics. Will we ever get to use it? Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens in that march on Washington. Maybe we'll know after July 4th. I don't know. It was developed by money that came from our taxes, so in theory we should be able to use it. But it doesn't always work that way, does it? Now I'm moving towards some of the really intense articles, and I'll just read the titles. Incest survivor exposed Illuminati Satanists. And this has to do with Khazars. This lady was on the Oprah show, evidently in 1989. I have not heard of her before. I've heard of some. I've read some books by some survivors of abuse, Illuminati abuse. Kathy O'Brien, Bryce Taylor. Like I said, I have not heard of her before, but she has become a therapist to help people who have experienced similar issues. And if you don't know, this is heavy, sad, depressing. I'm not suggesting that you dive into this, but if you don't know much about it, you might want to educate yourself a little bit. And it takes less time to read this article than some of the books. I just want to kind of reinforce the evil that's behind our government. Eric Holder's wife, co-owner of clinic engaging in apparent non-legal abortion activity. I will qualify this by saying that she doesn't own the business. She owns, if I understand correctly, she owns the building where the clinic, the abortion clinic, is located. So that's not quite the same thing as owning the clinic, but there's still this issue of making money at any cost and being willing to even rent to somebody who is going to run a business that is going to not only be what I consider immoral and unethical, but apparent non-legal abortion activity. So it's not even legal, and I don't know if under the law she has any responsibility for that, but morally, ethically, sure, she does. And I split up these two articles from the Vatican Project intentionally because it's so heavy. It's so heavy. But this really is at the core of understanding the depth of the darkness and the reason behind it. I mean, the ultimate reason behind it is because the devil wants to postpone his judgment. His judgment is inevitable, but there are certain things that need to happen before it takes place, and some people believe that one thing that needs to happen is that there need to be more people in heaven. I've read Rick Joyner wrote in The Final Quest that there is a hall where people worship God, and the hall is not full, and the hall needs to be full. And of course, the Gospels say that Jesus, the good news about Jesus, needs to be preached throughout all the earth. So whatever the conditions are, I believe that the devil probably knows them and wants to delay his eternal judgment. And if he can get enough people messed up enough, I think he believes that he might be able to do that. Automated license plate readers threaten our privacy. Just another challenge to privacy. Cameras mounted on top of patrol cars on city streets can scan up to 1,800 license plates per minute, day or night, allowing one squad car to record more than 14,000 plates during the course of a single shift. So, if you think you can travel anonymously, think again. And a little more about privacy. The troubling privacy implications of increasingly common eye tracking technology. This has to do with, as you're at your computer reading, there is software that tracks your eye movements, and some of it has to do with advertising. Some of it has to do with tracking crime. I'm looking at my into my little camera on my laptop right now. I don't keep mine covered up, but I know a lot of people who keep a piece of tape over the over the camera when they're not using the camera, and I'm sure that it's a good idea to do that. And I'm ready, and I'm sure you are ready, to move into some sites that have more to do with better news. Electron deficiency may be the underlying cause of most chronic disease. That might sound scientific and scary, but the solution is to be more in touch with the earth. The earth has a magnetic field that we need to be connected with. And we are, with foundations, carpets, carpet padding, so on and so forth, we are raised up off of the earth. And even when we go out for a walk, we wear shoes that do not conduct electricity and therefore don't allow the flow of the magnetic field directly. So we're cut off from the earth. And in order to be really healthy, well, I'll just say that it fortifies good health to actually touch the earth, to be in contact with the earth. So, so that's easy enough, right? And this article states that being in touch with the earth can help with to reduce inflammation. So there you go. Go out for a walk and no shoes. That's not a bad way to get healthy. Marijuana and cancer. Scientists find cannabis compound stops metastasis in aggressive cancers. Well, can you imagine that? What do you know? I guess we're not too surprised because we've known about that for a while, right? And Tommy Chung cured of cancer with alternative medicine, including hemp oil. All right. That is good news indeed. So, that's a real thing. And here is, granted, this is just a story. It's not a scientific study, but the other article is about the scientific study. So we're balanced between the two. She Who Will Walk in the Dark thanks you for participating in today's tour, and remembers with you all that the dawn is coming. Weeping may endure through a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.